Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pinner and Patrick Show out here in North Peoria. My name is Patrick Thompson with Doug Pinner. He's pretty in pink today. I'm green and grand.
Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm wearing pink because real men wear pink. I'm joining that project here in Peoria with Mayor Ardis and several other people. So, real men wear pink. Check it out. ACS, American Cancer Society of Peoria here, and raising some good money to kick cancer's butt.
You betcha.
Back to you. Sorry.
You're good. That was a good message. So we're out here at Iron Athlete Performance today with owner Adam Wasson, where he coaches high school athletes, college athletes, and even people such as myself. I mean, it's all ages for sport-specific training. And so we're out here today. I think he's going to take me through a warm-up, a proper warm-up for most any type of athlete. A lot of us, myself, I mean, you're a professional golfer, Doug. We're out here doing our things, and sometimes we neglect the warm-up, but he's going to show us what we really need to do and focus on in order to get primed and ready for the training session or the event.
I see a lot of people park their cars in front of Anytime Fitness Peoria, or here, maybe not so much here, I haven't seen it yet, but you know, people just come in, start lifting right away. There's no stretching prior, and even as important as after that workout to make sure you're stretching, cooling down those muscles. I have a lot of crazy questions for Adam. That guy is built like a brick house. I mean, I just bumped chest with him. I'm pretty sure I'm bruised, and yeah, it's this pink shirt bringing out that soft side of me. But yeah, I'm excited to get in there and see what kind of workout he puts you through. I haven't seen you sweat in a workout. I haven't seen that in a while, so just every 5 minutes. Should we jump right into sports, cover a little bit of that before we visit with our good friend Adam?
Let's do that.
So Little League World Series is still underway. Championship games coming up this weekend into the first part of next week. MLB's kind of hopping on board with Little League World Series this weekend. They're going to spicing up their uniforms. Players get to have nicknames on the back of their jerseys, and you'll see on their stats, you're going to find out what the MLB's favorite players' favorite food, movies, things of that nature. Kind of have a little fun.
What's your favorite food, movie, and nickname?
Favorite movie? Glad you're putting me on the spot. Caddyshack. Close second is Blues Brothers.
Okay.
Favorite food? Pizza. Who doesn't like a good pizza?
Boom.
And what was the third one?
Your nickname.
Oh, geez, I can't say that on there. Can't say that on there. It's been with me a long way. Anyways, moving along. So like Jose Batista on the back, you'll see Joey Bats. Andrew McCutcheon will have Kutch. And Puig for the Dodgers, Wild Horse on the back of his jersey. Got to see some of these jerseys this morning. The Baltimore Orioles, I mean, that's really sharp. Yeah, White Sox, believe it or not, as terrible as they are, their jerseys way outperformed their record. Then we got the fight tomorrow night, Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. So who do you have in that one? How many rounds?
I think it's going to go all 12 or 15, whatever it is. I don't watch too much boxing, more a UFC guy. And I think Mayweather's going to win in a decision. I think it's going to just kind of stretch it out, you know what I mean? I know McGregor's going to probably want to go out there and just knock his head off the shoulders, but Mayweather's in great shape. He's going to run around and probably going to end up being just a dancing match a lot, I think.
Conor's in Mayweather's land there. I think the largest bet in Vegas right now on Mayweather's $1.2 million. Largest on Conor McGregor, $150,000. I think that says a lot.
With that $1.2 million, I was told this morning that if the person bet that $1.2 million, they only win like $180,000. Yeah,
obviously Mayweather's a heavy favorite. I think Conor McGregor's payout, if you bet 100, you make 450 or 475 right now. So definite lot of late bets will come in on that fight. I know I'll be watching it. I got Mayweather in 4 rounds knocking Conor McGregor out. I think McGregor's just going to get a little exhausted, get sloppy one time, just enough to have Mayweather land a knockout punch. Hey, Arrieta took the mound for the Cubs, who are 68-58, 1 loss more than all of last year, but they turned it around this past week, 7-3 in their last 10 ball games. Arrieta threw a gem, leading 2-1 going into the 8th. Rondon blew it last night, but all in all, Cubs are playing pretty good ball. A few games up on the Brewers, and your Cardinals are sitting 64-63. 3-7 in their last 10. So what a flip-flop from the last time we did the show.
Yeah.
I think the numbers were exactly the opposite.
Yes, it was.
Your Cardinals were on a little bit of a streak. Your bullpen for St. Louis better get things cleaned up. Matheny says whoever comes in and performs is going to continue to get the ball day in, day out until they prove they can't handle the pressure. So Matheny is running around his dugout trying to find maybe a bat boy or something that could get up on that mound and throw some strikes. And McGuire with St. Louis got introduced into the St. Louis Hall of Fame for the Cardinals. Yesterday, the Yankees and Tigers big brawl 3 different times in the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings. Bench clearing brawls, 10-6 loss for Detroit. That's crucial. Detroit needs to really put together a couple win streaks coming into the latter part of the season if they plan on making the playoffs. A couple people that got ejected, the 8 players in total: Tommy Canely, Batassis, Austin Romine, he's the catcher who Cabrera ended up pushing, and there were some punches thrown. Speaking of which, Cabrera is gone, Joe Girardi's gone, Rob Thompson, Brad Ausmus, Alex Wilson. I mean, the mascots are in the timeout as well. I mean, I just don't think the major leaguers set a good example yesterday. I think it got ugly. I think the umpires did a terrible job of umpiring that game. They should have never let it get to that, especially when the batter in the 8th inning took a fastball right off the helmet. I mean, that's when serious things will happen. People could get killed out there.
Yeah, I mean, one bench clear, I mean, that happens.
Right.
Second, like, come on now. And the third, like, oh my gosh, what's going on out there? Is it a circus or a baseball game?
And you could just tell in the post game, all the players were disgusted at the way it all went down. But the players try to, you know, there's the unwritten rules of baseball we hear about, and they try to regulate themselves on the field. And that just got real ugly in front of a lot of people. Yep. Heading into what is supposed to be a, you know, leadership roles, yep. Set a good example with the nicknames and tying it in with the Little League World Series. When the Cardinals played Pittsburgh over in the Little League World Series realm down there in Florida, they actually busted 2 teams in. All the little leaguers got to sit in the stadium, watch big leaguers play. And there's been some animosity between Pittsburgh and St. Louis, but at the end of the game, both ball clubs lined up just like the little leaguers and shook hands like true sportsmen. So right. Kudos to them. Hey, your FedEx payout, I think it's $10 million to the winner. Number 1 player in the world, Dustin Johnson, leading going into today. He was 8 under, 2-shot lead over Henley. Vegas sitting at 5 under, and then Casey and Rem at -4. Should be an entertaining week of golf as well. The fights, we got college football coming up. Ezekiel Elliott's appealing his suspension on Monday and Tuesday. He's been excused from practice. Now, this is not, he's not able to go in and see about appealing. I shouldn't have said appealed. Looking to reduce the amount of time. Okay. He's suspended 6 games, hoping to get it 3 or 4 based. Just what will dictate that is if the league did things in chronological order as they're supposed to. So Ezekiel Elliott's got his defense team literally working on that case for him. Cam Newton was on the field last night, led a couple touchdown drives, looked pretty impressive after his shoulder surgery during the offseason. Jay Cutler went 6 for 8. Looked pretty sharp with Miami. So never know what he's going to bring.
You never know. Did have a fumble.
Ha, way to bring that up. Hey, let's get in, get you stretching and get you lifting. What do you say, bud?
Got it.
All right. Come on back. We're over here with our good friend Adam.
Yep.
Pat's getting a workout in on the Pinner and Patrick Show.
What's happening, everybody? Look who Doug and I found. Adam Wasson, the owner of Iron Athlete Performance, in his fantastic facility here. How are you doing today, buddy?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Real good.
I'm doing fantastic. I can't wait to see you put Pat through a workout. I know a lot of his clients be tuning in to watch this.
Oh, yeah.
They will be, and then making fun of me later. Anyways, what we're going to do today with Adam is we're going to go through kind of like a proper warm-ups, like Doug and I were talking earlier, is how people will just come to the gym, just hop on a treadmill or just go to the squat rack, maybe go to the dumbbell rack, start doing curls, and don't really warm up. So before we get into the actual workout of like kind of what you have planned for my training with the bands or the chains or both, what's a good warm-up? And Doug, I mean, ask questions as we go along here. What's a good warm-up that you would say, not just for myself, but I guess anybody for that matter?
First thing I like to do, always start out with something kind of nice and slow, easy going to get a little bit of a sweat going, get your heart rate up, get the muscles moving a little bit. If you just go right in and start doing static stretching as far as like toe touches and just exactly the old-fashioned, what people think you're supposed to do before you work.
What about this? Oh,
even better.
Oh, all right.
If you're golfing, that'll work. taking the cart.
So, I mean, obviously warming up gets the blood flowing. Are we talking hopping on a treadmill for 5 minutes, just cruising at a moderate pace? What do we want to do?
Yep, exactly. Whether it's the treadmill, hopping on there, going probably about a 4.0, 3.5, kind of working up there, maybe get the incline up a little bit. So it's something that's not too much stress on you, but getting that sweat going. We've got the Concept 2 rowers out there. I really like those. Aerodyne bike, elliptical, really whatever it might be, even just going on a quick run outside. Sometimes my athletes, I'll have them do sled drags or something like that before we even get started there. Just something to get the muscles going, get everything stretched out, get that blood flow going. And then once you got that going, you can start doing the static stretches.
How do you know when you're warmed up? Is it just a time limit? Is it when you feel less pull in your hammies? What is it?
I usually go off kind of feel with it. I mean, there's sometimes when I've got new athletes coming in, I'll say, okay, you've got 5 minutes here, because that should be more than enough time. But it's one of those, once you get that feeling that you're warm, you're loose, got a little bit of a sweat going, got your heart rate up, really what we're trying to do is get those muscles loose. Because if you come in and you stretch a cold, tight muscle, when you're stretching it, you're not really doing any good. You're actually putting it under more pressure, more stress. You've got more chance of tearing something, more chance of pulling something.
So if you think of a rubber band, it's frozen, you pull it, very easy to snap. Those are your tendons.
Exactly.
If we warm them up a little bit, they become more elastic, much more effective with your workout, right?
Spot on.
All right,
Spot on.
Gotcha.
Nice. So obviously do some sort of warm up that's going to get your heart rate elevated, whether it's a cardio machine or maybe just jogging in place like a gym jog as well. So aside from doing the 5 minutes of just light gym jog, we'll call it, any sort of like foam rolling, stretching with bands, maybe just barbell warm-ups, anything else to add after that, the more specific stuff?
Definitely, yeah, and that's one where, with my athletes especially, I have them do something specific for what they're doing that day. So like if it's a squat day, we might do box jumps first, work on getting that loaded motion that they're going to be going through with the squats, a little bit more explosive, no weight on there. Broad jumps for deadlift, work on pushing the hips through there. Kettlebell swings. For upper body, we might do something like explosive ball throws against the wall, get the chest, get the tendons in the shoulders, rotator cuff, everything warmed up that way. So something a little bit more dynamic than even kind of what they were going through with the beginning. And then after that, foam rolling, always.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Joe DeFranco, I believe it is, has the Agile 8.
Alrighty.
And he talks about there's 8 different positions with the foam roller or with a tennis ball, and then a few static stretches. Those seem to hit everything, get all the muscles in your legs, quads, hamstrings, hip flexors, everything that way with the foam roller. Then get a little bit of your lats, rhomboids, everything up there with the foam roller. And then a little bit of static stretching too.
So with that, I'm going to step to the side, go ahead and do those foam rolls that you've taught me before already. And then if you want to go through the bands and then the chains with Doug, I'm sure you said it earlier.
I got lots of questions
on that.
I mean, when I think chains working out, why don't you hit that foam roller? We'll start talking about some of these things. Like this reminds me of the Junkyard Dog back in the day. You know who that guy is?
Junkyard Dog.
What do we got here with these chains and how much do they weigh? What's the use of this?
So for these, each one that we got is 20 pounds here.
Feels like 50.
Because you didn't hit a good warm-up.
There you go.
So with these, 20 pounds a piece here, and the big thing with these is working on the explosiveness and the power out of the bottom. So with these, as with anything, we'll go ahead and put them on the bar here. I'll show you.
All right. As you can see, I really use these a lot. What am I not doing here properly? Ah, there we go.
So once we got the chains on there, you see with the chains, you got just barely hanging on to the floor there. So once we unrack it, Pat, this is about his height there. So once he unracks it, he's gonna have it sitting just above the floor there. When you go down with it, you got more of the chains on the ground, so you got less weight on your back. So with these, like I said, is you got about just above the floor, you're gonna take about 1/3 of the weight off total. So then once you get to the bottom, have less weight on there, more explosive coming up. I think Pat's back right now, so we'll have him hop in here.
Let's talk about the explosiveness. What is the importance of having your muscles with this explosive move? Is it stretch and contract, make you faster, twitch quicker? What is it?
Right, exactly, and it's working on those fast twitch muscles. So this is one, Louis Simmons of Westside Barbell kind of developed the method with the bands and the chains for the most part. And a lot of the reason was just because his athletes, he had just power lifters at the time, but their lifts were moving slowly. So by adding the chains on here, you can get the same weight on there at the top, but then when you get to the bottom, you got about a third to half of the actual chain weight on there. So by doing more that way, you're able to explode up, and then as you're coming up with it, once you've got that momentum built, you've got the same weight at the top again. So if you're exploding through, building that momentum, getting that explosiveness, getting used to using that heavier weight. So I use it, this is one that I use for a lot of athletes, whether they be football players, track athletes, jumping, running. It's going to be have an extreme carryover. Basketball as well.
I was going to say tennis, lacrosse, you name it.
Oh.
The faster you can move, responsiveness in a sport, you got a competitive edge on your opponents, right?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Swimmers out of the box, off the gate, yeah.
Yep, oh, for sure. And so, yeah, using the chains for that kind of stuff. We'll take a football player, for example. High school football starts tonight. So my guys, I have them do sets with the chains here, and once they get down, they'll be set. They have less weight on there, just like they're in their football stance. Linemen down in their starting stance. Then when they take off, get explosive out of the bottom there. Sometimes we'll do box squats with it, so they're actually sitting down. Be explosive out of the bottom. It's just like coming off the line. You got less weight coming off, you're real explosive. Come into a lineman, you're pushing more weight. So,
gotcha.
Pretty direct carry over there.
Perfect.
What you got? You all foam rolled out, or?
I am. I'm ready.
Adam had to assist me to get these chains on. I don't use them much, so let's see what you got, bud.
So what do you want me to do, my man?
Let's do a set of 5 to start here.
Set of 5.
Set of 5. So back to the warm-ups, we always start. Pat already hit a set of 10 with just the bar. That's where we always start. From there, usually taking sets of 5.
Pat failed to send us a memo about wearing our yoga pants with knee braces, so we apologize. We all don't coordinate.
So yeah, as I said, it's the bottom. Pause this one at the bottom for me, Pat. You see he's got about half the chains on the ground there, and then he can explode up there. Go for it. The chains are coming up. This is also working on stabilizers. A lot of coaches that may just not understand, might not use them correctly. Go ahead and rack it there, Pat. Problem a lot of coaches have is the chains look really cool, and that's about where it ends.
Yeah.
So to do them the right way, you do need a little bit, barely hanging off the ground there, or just slightly sweeping the ground, because that way you're working the stabilizers too. You've got to work everything as far as keeping that balance, keep it from falling over. The chains, they're going to be swinging. And Pat, I mean, he was benching yesterday with 80 pounds of chains, so 40 pounds on each side, because his unrack on his max that day left some room to work on. So we were working on that just because he needed to work on those stabilizers, get everything going that way. So unracking 80 pounds of swinging chains back and forth, you got to learn to hold it really steady.
So let me get this straight. On the chains, we want just that last chain barely touching the ground. You want to get down into your squat position. That's going to relieve some of the weight and then explode up. That's really going to help those, what is it, the glutes, hammies, quads, a little bit of everything. Stabilizers, like you mentioned when you're walking back, the core, the shoulders, posture.
Definitely.
Sweet.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Everything explosiveness there. That's with a lot of the football players. I always tell them, I mean, you never really see a running back in the NFL who's got a small butt. So we're working on getting those glutes big.
Yep.
Marshawn Lynch.
Exactly.
Huge legs, huge butt. Works on getting those. That's why he's explosive. That's why he can run through guys. He's got that 0 to 100 speed. So building stuff like that with the chains, getting the squats there. Once you get down in there, your glutes and hamstrings are already loaded, so exploding up, load them up even more, powering through there.
Makes sense. I never knew what chains were until today. That's great tips that you ran us through. Real easy to follow along. If you're tuning in a little late, get back to the front of the show. Adam's breaking it down on how to properly use chains, create that explosiveness off the line, out of the box in swimming, tennis, you name it. It's a pretty universal move for all athletes across the board. What do we got next for Pat? Pat, you're not even breathing heavy. Come on, man.
All right, so we are going to take the chains off now.
All right. That should be easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got it.
Oh, you got the bands.
Now we are going to do some bands. So right here, we've got pretty light bands here. These are the mini
Oh,
bands.
hey, watch it, man. That one slipped.
Rubber band man.
So we got some of these even, we go real heavy with these. These are only gonna add, we're gonna double them over. If you've got it straight out there, gonna add about 20 to 25 pounds of tension. We're gonna double them over, so Pat's gonna be working with about 40 to 50 pounds of tension at the top there. So with these, it's real similar to the chains. When it shortens, you've got less tension on there. Stretch it out, the farther you go, the more tension you've got there. So same idea. This one, they do work. I'm a little bit bigger fan of the bands than I am the chains. Chains are a little bit more old school. They do look way cooler. But
Yeah, the cool factor's there with the chains,
Exactly.
but efficiency's, I think, what we're going for, right?
Exactly. So we're gonna use a lot more bands. Usually I'll use the bands on deadlift, hex bar deadlift, use them on squat too, use them on bench sometimes. One of those you can use them on just about anything. Same way, just build that explosiveness there. So with these, we're gonna set them up a little bit in front of Pat today. So he's gonna have to walk out with the band tension already on there.
Baby. So with the band tension, you said I think 40 to 50 pounds, right?
Yeah, 40 to 50 pounds here.
Now, is that per side or total?
That is per side that you've got 40
Okay.
to 50 pounds here.
Cool.
So yeah, you look
Good.
at these, notice how wrapped around on each side here.
You're good.
Are you good?
Yep, we're good now.
That on the
Solid.
inside.
I just don't want it to break 'cause I'm so strong, you know.
There you go. Have at it. That was a... People, I am sweating and breathing heavier just putting those bands on than Pat is actually working out.
So you'll see with this one, you saw how he was having to stabilize a little bit with the chains. The bands, now they're out in front of him. When we're squatting, a big thing that we worked on a few weeks ago was pushing our butt back with it, sitting down in the hole, pushing through our heels. This is gonna force him to do that because if he comes up on his toes, it's gonna be like an old Wile E. Coyote cartoon. He's gonna go through the wall there,
Oh,
shoot through with the bands. So we'll get him set up here.
5 again.
Get a set of 3 for me.
All right.
here. So you see the bands are pulling him forward and down here. So when he gets to the bottom, go for it. It's shortening. He doesn't have a whole lot of tension on there. How's that feel? You could probably sit there for a while, couldn't you?
Maybe a minute or two.
Go ahead, come up with it. Real explosive. Those bands are stretching out. As he comes up, he's got even more tension going there.
Woo, baby! You
Yep.
see that?
there's his core working, right?
Oh,
Holding him from
definitely.
falling through that wall like you mentioned.
Exactly. And that you saw right there, the bar rolled a little bit on him. He's got to keep his form perfect on this one. That core, like
There
you
it
said,
is.
see how tight he's got his back there? That's perfect. Go for one more here, Pat. Good stuff. Go on rack it there.
Pat, let me ask you a question. Adam, you as well. I mean, I'm pretty novice with lifting. What do you guys prefer? You prefer plates, you prefer bands, or is it based on what you're trying to accomplish that day?
Really goes on what you're trying to accomplish. So with Pat, like if you look at his program or if you look at a lot of my athletes' programming, they'll have what we call speed days and they'll have strength days. So what we're going for when we're lifting is trying to create force. Force
Gotcha.
equals mass times acceleration. So going back to like 7th grade science with it pretty much, basics. So the force that we're trying to create, we're trying to use both of those factors. So mass is when we do like the strength days. So when he's going heavier with it, that's what I consider to be like 80 to 100%, 1 to 5 reps type thing.
I got you.
Then we've got the acceleration, the speed days. With these, all we're working on is that speed strength. So on Pat's days, he'll usually do, it'll be about 50% of his max weight in plate weight, and then 20 to 25% in band or chain weight.
So if I'm hearing you right, you're growing mass, keeping it lean and explosive.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
All right,
Boom.
makes
Awesome.
sense.
So
What's next?
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good. With that, I know you guys want to see me put on some plates, like 3 or 4 of them, and do it with the bands. But I want to talk about your athletes and your gym and what your athletes are doing right now. I know some of them just went off to college and they're in high school. There's been some new amenities to your gym since you opened in January. So
For sure.
Go ahead and finish up with your athletes and then the gym.
Oh, the athletes, it was an awesome summer. I mean, you saw some of the guys in here. We had some incredible stories.
Big
incredible
boys.
Guys. Very big boys. Yep, that's Dan Witherspoon was on with us a few weeks ago. He's off at ISU. He's redshirting his freshman year and just putting on somehow even more size if that's possible. Gonna get in there, be an offensive lineman, and he was home a few weeks ago. He was telling me about the playbook, and makes sense why the redshirt freshman, because there's a lot to learn,
Really?
a whole lot to learn.
You probably have to take some great pride knowing that you set him up with good form, good work ethic here in the gym. So when he is away, you can trust that he's doing what he needs to do, and it sounds like he is.
Oh, it was great. When he came back after being there for the summer, he mentioned how he was had some of the second strongest lifts on the team, first strongest lifts, and some of them on the team, and how the coaches had complimented his form and told him how everything looked good. So that was one of those that really made me feel good. Kind of one of those proud parent moments, like, all right, set you up with it, now you're taking it. And I was super proud of him because he took it and learned with it, and even without me watching him, he was still doing everything that I taught him. So that made me feel real good.
True testament of how good you are at what you do, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got a few other ones. I mean, I think you met Merritt in here. Merritt Stock,
Yep.
He's a football player at Wisconsin Whitewater. He's going to have to redshirt this year as well, different reasons. He had a double labral tear back in January, had surgery on that. And so he came in, he was one of the hardest workers I'd ever seen. I mean, I could tell him to run through a wall for his workout that day, and he would come back 5 minutes later and ask for another wall because that one was too easy. Kid's crazy.
So you know he'll do his rehab, get back stronger and better than ever, right?
Definitely, definitely. And that's one where he's not cleared for contact yet, but they cleared him for running just a little bit. So he was in here on the treadmill doing 4 minutes at a time. He came in at the beginning of the summer. His max bench was 285 pounds. And so with the labral tear, he was doing rehab. He had a physical therapist, as everybody should have when they have something like that. I'm not a physical therapist. You know how that goes.
Yep.
Got to have somebody who's does just that. So he had a physical therapist he was going to, so he was coming to me for upper body strength. And so beginning of the summer, he had 285-pound bench press. By the end of summer, he hit 300 pounds for 3 reps.
Nice.
Solid.
So, pretty
awesome.
solid. Great progress. Testament to him for all the hard work he put in, because that's one. Usually you got athletes who, you get a double tear of anything, a single tear of anything, and most athletes, it's kind of a Brian Song situation. Don't really want to get back to it.
Adam, for all those people out there watching, what's website or number if they have more questions or inquiries on what you offer here at your facility? Where could they go?
Best way to get a hold of me is just by phone, 309-258-0204. We also have the Facebook page, Iron Athlete Performance. We've got a Twitter as well, Iron Athlete Performance. Website's in the works right now. Next time you guys come through for the show, we'll have that all set up and everything.
Solid, man.
Once that comes up, we'll link it on Twitter and Facebook, Instagram as well. Otherwise, just by phone. Also, anytime anybody wants to come in, check it out, see what we're all about. Anybody's more than welcome. We'll put you through a workout, kind of get you going on some things, see if it's for you. One of those. I mean, some people it's a little too tough, won't lie. Had a few athletes this summer who didn't stick with it, but
Yeah.
it's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Learning curve.
I tell you what, our good friend Adam invited us in. Place looks great. I love the knowledge. You know what I really love? Two of the best trainers here in Peoria working together, sharing knowledge, sharing tips. You know what you guys are doing? You're making a healthier community, which will be more efficient, giving back, much more productive. So outstanding work, both of you. Love the place, love your tips. If you're tuning in late, make sure you get back towards the front of the show. We're working with some chains. We had some bands going. Pat had a foam roller out. I asked a lot of stupid questions. Nothing new there. No. So, hey, my name's Doug Pinner.
Patrick Thompson
Adam Wasson.
on the Pinner and Patrick Show.